Welcome everyone. We are going to be looking at putting a roof on our commercial building. We actually have 4 different roofs to put on, and you guys know me by now, and I tend to think sometimes our textbook misses the big picture while doing a great job of putting out the details in front of us. So my perspective of the big picture here is that the textbook has kind of ordered putting our roofs on in a way that puts the most difficult roof first and one of the easier roofs at the end. So let's kind of reverse our conversation here and start to put the simpler roofs in the front of our work and give ourselves a chance to get familiar and comfortable with these roof tools and understanding, what is going to drive a roof and what holds a roof up in a building. So as we look at this introduction sheet, think about this 4 roofs to add as a table of contents. So I'm going to be working through the west main roof first, then the west southern addition, which is a roof by extrusion, and then I'm going to work through the connecting hall. Then I'm going to add a dormer to that roof, and I'm going to finish with the east portion and the main portion of that building, which is by far the most complicated roof. So just know that that's the order I'm going to work through it in, and you can see there what pages apply to each of the roofs. So what I'm going to do is just bring up the display of Revit and let's get started. So on page 332, I'm going to let out just a little bit of a rant here if you don't mind. So the textbook tells us to select a roof in a 3D view and come over to our properties here and choose this option, brick and CMU on metal without parapet. And if you look at your file, you're going to find that, well, you don't have that roof. And my rant is this: one of the things about textbook start files. If we ever use the start file that exists at the beginning of a chapter, we just miss a ton of information because all the pieces of software in these start files are set up specifically to work with the detailed instructions that we receive inside the text. And in this particular case, we're clearly missing out on an opportunity to learn and understand how these sweeps are added that look like individual cuts away from the brick wall. And quite frankly, that's what they are. And then there's another little wall sweep down here about 5 feet up, and this concrete parapet that's on top of all of our walls. So what we're going to do is we're going to work through how to change our construction to do that on our own. And it's a good opportunity to pick up and learn on this. So quite honestly, what I am going to do is select a wall. Let's see. Edit type. Now I'm going to change this right away to without parapet. So of course I had one. I've just deleted all my roofs off. So I'm going to edit this without parapet, and what I would like to do is just delete it. Alright, got that taken care of. So by the way, no magic here. I just closed the file and reopened it. Alright, so let's create this wall type that the textbook is trying to ask us for. So I'm going to select one of these walls, and it doesn't really matter which one, and I'm going to edit my type. And because we're changing that type, then by definition I want to duplicate it here in this case. So I'm going to rename it, take out that 2 and add without parapet. Alright, so once I have that, right, I've got a name. So I'm going to edit the structure, and I'm going to expand my dialog box. Pretty involved wall. There's 10 different layers. These are inside to outside. And just as a reminder, we can go look and see the preview of what this wall is going to look like. This is a cut view as if we're looking straight down. And below this wall is the interior side. And above the wall is the exterior side. That's a common theme in Revit. So then in addition, I can see this preview by looking at a section view of it as opposed to looking straight down on it. So I'm going to activate this section view option, and now I'm looking at the vertical section of the wall. And notice that as soon as I did that, I have these 6 gray options down here that just turned black, and all that means is that they're now active. And so there's this category called sweeps that if you look into your model, you can see there's always this big concrete parapet that's at the top. There's a different brick pattern that's about a foot down or 2 feet down. And there's some other cutouts. And by the way, this is not a brick, it's actually a cut or a void cut. And then there's this what's called sweep going around here. So what we're going to do is in essence say that we want to delete this parapet from this wall type. And that is something that we're going to look at under sweeps, and we get a dialog box. And I guess my last little rant here is that this particular dialog box is not adjustable in size, and it's way too narrow for me to see the columns. So I happen to know what I'm looking for. I'm going to expand profile, and I'm going to expand from, and I'm going to expand distance. So each profile here is a feature in the section view of this wall. So row 1 is a parapet that is 0 feet 0 inches from the top of the wall. That's this concrete parapet. Then there's a brick wall sweep that is 1 foot 4 inches from the top, and that's this red one. And then there's a sill precast which is 3 inches or 3 feet 4 inches from the bottom, and that's that other concrete sweep that was sticking out. All I'm going to do here is select row 1 and delete it and click OK. Notice the parapet disappears. I have my new wall type correct. I'm going to click OK here a number of times, and one of my walls just changed so that there's no parapet on top. If I zoom in a little more, you can see that. So as one last task in this section of video, I'm going to select all of those walls and come to my properties and change that to the option without parapet. Done. And I'm ready to go ahead now and work on adding this roof by footprint over here, and then adding kind of this cool slope to it. So I'm going to close this section. It's a good stopping point, and we will come back in the next session and add this roof to it and then slope that roof. Look forward to seeing you then, and hope this is helpful.